and today we are going to be gushing over This Shattered World by Amie Kaufman and Meagan. This is the second book in the Starbound trilogy sequel to These Broken Stars, and just in case you're out of the loop here, I absolutely adored These Broken Stars. I'm not kidding when I say I developed a very unhealthy obsession with this novel. So obviously, as soon as I got my Christmas money, I went ahead and pre-ordered This Shattered World, and I got it, and I read it, and oh my god. To be completely honest, I was very skeptical that this one wasn't going to live up to this one, because again, I absolutely loved These Broken Stars. But I have to say that this one is every bit as beautiful and romantic and amazing as These Broken Stars. This is kind of a companion trilogy where we have two main characters in the first book, two different main characters in the second one, and I'm guessing we have another pair of protagonists in the third book. Although if you read this book first, you will be spoiled for These Broken Stars. I highly recommend this series. This is a sci-fi trilogy that takes place on a bunch of different planets. In the first one, we have Lilac and Tarver, who are the only two survivors of a luxury space liner and crash into a seemingly uninhabited planet, and what happens from there. This one follows Flynn Cormac and Jubilee Chase. Jubilee is a very famous captain on Avon's military base. Avon is the planet's name. Flynn Cormac is one of the leaders of the rebels trying to fight the military because they have pretty much taken over their planet. And obviously these two meet and stuff happens, okay? For those of you who have read These Broken Stars, we go so much deeper into nearly every single aspect that we left on in the first book. I can't say any more because I'll spoil who hasn't read These Broken Stars. If you are interested in watching my book chat for the other book, then you can click right here. It's not one of my best videos, it's actually one of my worst, but hey, that's what I got. I highly recommend these books. They are very good, very well written, romantic, heroic, and everything good, and I love them to death. All in all, This Shattered World is a beautiful love story, perfectly tied in with a warring planet and the political interests of both parties, why these two teenagers are so hesitant to assume their feelings while going deeper into the storyline created in the first novel. I really recommend these books. If you haven't picked them up yet, you're missing out. And that's it for my non-spoilery section. Thank you so much for sticking with me until now, and again, read these books. Goodbye if you don't want to be spoiled. The first thing I want to say is that just like Lilac and Tarver, they met at a bar. That fact made me feel so many things. It made me go back to These Broken Stars, and so many feelings came rushing back in. Just like in the first one, they're kind of eyeing each other before they actually go ahead and introduce themselves. Turns out this isn't the friendliest of introductions. I really wanted to point out that they met the same way, and I would love for the next couple to meet in some kind of food place, because then we just keep the tradition. If you remember correctly, in the first book, in between the chapters, we have a dialogue between two people, and that is very easy to understand that two people are talking. In the very first page, you're not exactly who, you don't really know what it's about, what exactly is going on. In This Shattered World, we do not have a dialogue. We have something that confused me so much at first, because I really wasn't understanding what was going on when it came to these in-between chapter texts. We later find out that these are dreams, and for me to completely understand what went on, I have to reread the book, which I will definitely be doing in the very near future. I adored it. We get to a part where Jubilee says, "Learn fast or don't." I remember that from somewhere. I immediately recognized that this is what Tarver's captain used to say to him. My mind isn't really used to coming up with theories, so I just thought that they had the same captain, and I was so pleasantly surprised that this wasn't the case. So instantly I go, okay, we have our first connection. And I thought that this was going to be it. When it was revealed that Lilac and Tarver would make an appearance in this book, I thought it was going to be something very superficial, something like Flynn and Jubilee go into some kind of bar and recognize Lilac and Tarver, and that would be it. And I was so happy when Lilac and Tarver had direct communication and interaction with this book's plot. I was over the moon. Just before Lilac gets in contact with Tarver, I'm sensing some very subtle sentences when Jubilee is getting ready to call Tarver. And then this is actually the page, and Jubilee is thinking that she really misses her captain. For Jubilee to feel like that about her captain, the authors are just really taking their time describing and emphasizing this character that we assumingly don't even know yet. And that's when I realized. I immediately close the book and go, it's Tarver. The captain has to be Tarver, and I just breathe, breathe, breathe. So again, this is over here. In this page, her captain enters the call. It mentions that his hair is grown longer, that he is shirtless, and that honestly doesn't reveal much. But then we have gold here. A muffled, sleepy voice comes over my speakers. Not his voice. Tarver, it says, petulant. Come back to bed. Someone else is in the room with him. Someone female. I have to close the book and just think for a moment. I am so happy that Lilac and Tarver are in direct communication to our protagonist that I just have to let it sink in for a moment. I'm also super fangirling because my shipper heart cannot take that Lilac and Tarver are in this situation where Lilac is literally come back to bed. That's so many feels. I know I'm really focusing on Lilac and Tarver, but I don't really have to explain myself. Something I really want to dwell on as well is the whispers. In these broken stars, we don't really know what exactly the whispers are. We just know there's some kind of life form that doesn't exist in this dimension. I love that in this book we go so much deeper into that. Even though I am still somewhat confused at what exactly the whispers are, I love that the authors just give us so much more closure on what exactly happened to those researchers on Lilac and Tarver's planet. The fury is something that throughout the book really confuses me because the whispers are supposed to be nice. And somewhere at the back of my mind forms the thought that there have to be nice whispers and mean whispers. Turns out I was actually right, but in a very different way than I expected. The things that are revealed in this book bring into the picture so many new aspects. We now have some sort of idea on what the whispers. We're not so much in the dark going into the third book. So yeah, the whispers for me are still a big question mark. It's just like watching a very complicated movie for the first time. You don't get everything. You have to rewatch it. And rereading this is definitely in my very near future plans. Again, I am still not 100% clear on what the whispers are. Another thing I want to do is compare Flynn and Jubilee's relationship to Tarver and Lilac's. I love that at first, just like Lilac and Tarver, Jubilee and Chase are so hesitant. No, strike that. At first, they genuinely hate each other. In the two books, these feelings soften as we go along. And it's so beautiful to see the progress between Jubilee and Flynn. And again, even when they don't detest each other anymore, they are very, very hesitant and scared of what might actually happen if they allowed these feelings to come through and if they allowed themselves to be in a relationship. In these broken stars, Lilac doesn't want to be with Tarver because she is afraid of what her father might do to him. And I know that in these broken stars, if they were to let themselves be in a relationship, Tarver's life would be at stake. I have to say that in this one, there's just so much more at stake. Hundreds of lives, as well as the fate of a planet, depend on whether these two get together or don't get together. I have to say that just brings in so many more complications. When it came to Lilac and Tarver, things were actually very simple. They're in a planet, they have to work together to survive. While that is happening, they fall in love. I get that that is simple, even though the whole Roderick thing is in the midst of this. But in this one, things aren't quite so simple. There's actually a page that really accents this, and I marked it. Tarver is talking to Jubilee, and he asks, you know he's falling in love with you, right? He thinks it's ridiculous, and then he goes on to say, you're talking to the guy marrying Lilac LaRouche. Nothing's insurmountable. I know that is true, but I love Jubilee's response to this because it's exactly how I feel when I compare these two relationships. I hardly think class differences are quite the same as my people try to kill his people and vice versa. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Flynn's people are trying to kill Jubilee's people and vice versa. So if they ever decide to actually be a couple, at the very least, things would be complicated. I love that in both of these cases, love prevails. At the end of these broken stars, Lilac and Tarver just simply couldn't care less what Roderick does to them. In this one, even though they know that it's a risk to give in to their feelings, they still love each other so much that they are willing to stop the war between their two peoples. How romantic is that? Probably my favorite thing about these novels is the romance. It's so realistically written. We feel exactly how these characters feel when it comes to giving into your feelings and hesitating into giving into your feelings because so much more is at stake than two people being in love. So we are at the very last pages of the book, and these last pages kill me. It is revealed that her November Verona ghost, that he's been following her all her life. He's one of the nice whisperers. And I love this little moment that he has with Jubilee. It's so heartbreaking when the connection is lost. This is revealed to us for such a short time and then it's just taken away. That really hurt. One of my favorite parts was when the Whisperer asked to touch Jubilee, because we have to remember this is humans connecting with other beings. This is as important as it would be for a UFO containing an alien crashing on planet Earth. I love how beautiful the authors describe this whole scene and how shattering it was to actually have this whisper be taken away from the reader. One of my other favorite parts was when Lynn sees the stars for the first time. That part is so beautiful and so well described. I keep going back to this, that these authors describe the scene so nicely, because it's true. The writing style in these books is absolutely phenomenal, amazing, and the descriptions are even more. Flynn is completely awed at seeing the stars for the first time. That really touched me. I don't know why, because I can look at the stars anytime I want as long as it's nighttime and the clouds aren't covering my sky, even though you can glance out at the stars anytime you like. These authors described it to the point where you actually feel exactly like Flynn. Just like in these Broken Stars, the very last few pages rip your heart out and then put it back in so quickly, and the novel ends and you're just here like, in this case, it was the whisper, and those few pages just completely shocked me. In these Broken Stars, it was Lilac dying. I don't want to talk about it. Even though the book ends well, it ends on a cliffhanger. In the very last page, I was also looking for the title of this book. Having read these Broken Stars 3 times, I obviously noticed that in the very last page, they mentioned that their world was nothing more than a bunch of broken stars. And the title was just so beautifully integrated into a sentence. When I got to the last page, I was expecting the same thing and I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, but it did. I didn't know then, but more than anything, I wanted the chance to find out. A chance without wars and blood feuds and madness everywhere on this shattered world. A chance where we could just be us. This chance. This is the most beautiful thing that you can end a novel on. I loved it. Expectations for the last book in the series. I am expecting the galaxy to figure out Roderick LaRouche is a douche. In my mind, this rhymed, and that's awesome. I want him and everything LaRouche Industries related to go down the drain, except Lilac. Lilac takes over LaRouche Industries and actually runs it like the good leader her father wasn't. As for a love story in the third one, I am no longer skeptical about it meeting standards, because this one was beautiful. The one in these Broken Stars was beautiful. And I am completely 100% sure that I'm going to be fangirling as hard over the third couple as I fangirled over these two. I am so excited for this book. I cannot wait for the title to be revealed, and also the cover, because we've had a character here, here, and here. I would love that now the characters would be faced horizontally. A guy over here and a girl over here, or vice versa. I feel like that would just be beautiful. And yeah, that was it. I am pretty sure that this video was better than the one for these Broken Stars, because when it comes to books like these, I can't, okay? I lose the ability to talk, because so many feelings are poured out into these books by the readers, by the authors, by everyone, that when I actually have to stand in front of a camera and talk about them, my mind goes blank. I am so excited for the third one. I really don't want it to be the last one. I really want the authors to create some kind of spin-off series with another romantic couple and just as beautiful writing and characters and everything. I don't want this incredible journey to end. I have about a year to wait, which is a lot, but it gives me time to reread this. So, people who have watched this video until now, what did you think of this Shattered World? Did you think it lived up to these Broken Stars? Did you prefer this one to these Broken Stars, or vice versa? Did you like the change of setting and characters and plot? Were the differences okay for you? Please comment down below. I would love to know all your thoughts and opinions on this book so we can discuss it. So yeah, that's it. I'm sorry this took so long. If you would like to see more book chats like these ones, then please subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot to me. Stay tuned for my next videos, and remember to keep your day a bookish one. Goodbye!